Well, Einstein says the universe is a bubble. We live on the skin of the bubble, and the bubble's expanding. That's called the Big Bang Theory. String theory says there are other bubbles out there. There's a bubble bath of universes. Big bangs are happening even as we speak. So we have this bubble bath of universes.
Right.
So there was something before the Big Bang.
Your model isn't, is it a Big Bang model with an initial emergence out of nothing and then eventually a collapse back to that?
No.
No. So,
No.
okay, so how do you conceptualize that?
Well, first of all, it is a
When Sarah and David moved into their new home on Willow Creek Lane, it seemed like the start of a dream. The house was everything they had ever wanted, a beautiful two-story Victorian with tall windows, a wraparound porch, and a large backyard for their two young children, Emily and Jack. The realtor had mentioned the property had been on the market for a while, but they brushed it off, attributing it to the rural location. The first few weeks were blissful. The kids loved exploring the woods behind the house, and Sarah enjoyed decorating their new space. But as they settled in, strange things started happening, small at first, just enough to make Sarah question her sanity. Items would disappear from the kitchen, only to turn up in odd places like the attic or basement. Doors would creak open on their own, and late at night, Sarah began hearing soft whispers coming from the walls. David, ever the skeptic, laughed it off as house noises. Old houses have their quirks, he'd say, wrapping his arms around her to reassure her. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. She began noticing a cold spot in the hallway outside their bedroom, a chill that persisted no matter how high they set the thermostat. One night, she woke up suddenly, sure she'd heard footsteps outside their door, but when she checked, there was no one there. Things escalated when Emily started talking about her new friend, a little girl named Lily. At first, Sarah thought it was just an imaginary playmate, the product of their recent move and Emily's excitement. But Emily described Lily in chilling detail. She wears a white dress, Mommy. And she's always sad because she can't find her parents. Sarah felt an icy fear grip her heart. "Where did you meet Lily?" she asked, trying to keep her voice calm. "In the basement," Emily replied casually. "She lives there." The basement was one place Sarah avoided. The few times she had ventured down there to store boxes, she felt an overwhelming sense of dread, like she was being watched. Determined to prove herself wrong, she decided to investigate. One evening, while David was at work and the kids were upstairs playing, Sarah grabbed a flashlight and descended into the basement. The air was thick and musty, and the dim light from the single bulb barely cut through the darkness. She shone her flashlight around, seeing only the usual clutter, boxes, old furniture, and an old, dusty mirror propped against the far wall. As she turned to leave, a low whisper filled the room. "Help me." Sarah froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The voice was soft, like a child's, but there was something unnatural about it. She slowly turned back toward the mirror and gasped. In the reflection stood a little girl, pale as moonlight, wearing a torn white dress. Her hollow eyes locked with Sarah's, and her lips parted to speak again. "Help me find them." Sarah screamed and bolted up the stairs, slamming the door behind her. She told David everything when he returned, but he still didn't believe her. Desperate, she did some research on the house's history. What she found left her horrified. In the early 1900s, a family had lived in a house, a man, his wife, and their daughter, Lily. One night, in a fit of madness, the father had killed his wife and buried her body somewhere on the property. Lily, terrified and alone, had hidden in the basement, where she eventually starved to death. The father disappeared, and the house remained vacant for years before being sold. Sarah was convinced that Lily's spirit was still trapped in the house, searching for her mother. She pleaded with David to leave, but he insisted they were overreacting. That night, as they lay in bed, Sarah heard the sound of footsteps again. This time, they were louder, more distinct. She shook David awake, and they both listened in silence as the footsteps grew closer. Suddenly, the door to their bedroom burst open, and a cold gust of wind swept through the room. Standing in the doorway was Lily, her eyes dark and empty. "Where is she?" the ghostly girl whispered, her voice echoing through the room. David finally believed. Grabbing the kids, they fled the house that night and never returned. A few weeks later, a new family moved into the house. Not long after, the realtor called Sarah, her voice trembling. "They found a body," she said. "In the backyard. A woman's remains, buried under the old oak tree." Sarah hung up the phone, her hand shaking. She knew it was Lily's mother. But one thing still haunted her: Lily had never found her. And now, she feared, the little girl's restless spirit was searching for another family to help her. The house on Willow Creek Lane stood empty again, its windows dark and lifeless. But if you listen closely on a quiet night, you might hear the soft, sorrowful whispers of a little girl calling out for her mother. And she's still waiting.
Webb's mysterious discovery fuels an incredible theory. At this point, however, it should be noted that although dark energy and the associated fields are a possible cause of the ignition of cosmic inflation, we do not know whether there really is a connection between the dark energy of that time and the dark energy of today. As mentioned, however, dark energy is considered in current space research to be the driving force behind the accelerated expansion of the universe. However, although this mysterious form of energy has had a firm place in the world of astronomical research for over 25 years, its actual existence has still not been proven experimentally. Against this background, some scientists believe it is conceivable that it's not actually dark energy that is driving the accelerated cosmic expansion but something that we otherwise only know from crazy science fiction films. Unbelievable but true, a study published on December 12, 2023, in the Journal of Cosmology and Astroparticle Physics actually concludes that what our instruments perceive as the expansion of the universe could actually be the result of universe mergers. In order to understand the background to this unconventional assumption, however, we first need to take a brief detour into the world of the Hubble constant. Basically, it indicates how fast the universe is currently expanding. But unfortunately, it also embodies a gigantic puzzle in the same breath. Because if we determine the Hubble constant on the basis of cosmic background radiation, we obtain a value of 67 km per second per megaparsec. However, as soon as the experts take supernovae, red giants, gravitational lenses, and variable stars, so-called Cepheids, into account, the Hubble constant is suddenly 73 km per second per megaparsec. In other words, the universe is expanding much faster than it should be. But how can that be? After all, according to our theories, space should be expanding at the same rate everywhere. Well, one possible explanation is that the measurement results of the past were clouded by errors and inaccuracies. And to find out whether this is really the case, the James Webb Telescope recently took a close look at 320 Cepheids and delivered the sobering but clear finding that the previously observed deviations are in line with reality. So the discrepancy of the Hubble constant is real. But how can it be explained? Well, Adam Rees, Nobel laureate in physics and lead author of the study, says that we may have misunderstood the universe. In other words, there could be forces and processes out there that we have simply not taken into account in the standard cosmological model. This could be an exotic form of dark matter or dark energy, for example. But it could be even more groundbreaking. Has our universe been swallowed up by another? Jan Amjorn from the University of Copenhagen believes it's more advisable to leave dark energy behind when it comes to the Hubble discrepancy and instead consider the possibility that our world is currently merging with other universes, and not just since yesterday. The real reason for cosmological inflation is said to have been that our young cosmos was once swallowed up by a larger parent universe, and since then, our universe has been doing the same to its mother world. Because after it was absorbed, it collided with other baby universes in order to ultimately absorb them too. But how do you even come up with such an idea? Well, by working out a mathematical model that examines the effects that several interacting universes could have on our cosmos. The experts' calculation showed that the merging of worlds would increase the volume of our universe, an increase in volume that our measuring instruments, in turn, interpret as an expansion of the universe. But that's not all. At the same time, researchers also determined the rate of expansion of the universe that would be expected in such a scenario, and in fact, the corresponding results agreed even better with the observations of space than the traditional standard cosmological model. But even the most breathtaking theory can only be confirmed by real observational data. But how do you observe a different cosmos in the first place? Well, not at all. In order to test the hypothesis of the merger of the universes, experts are currently conducting numerous experiments to investigate the microwave background. This radiation, relic from the time shortly after the Big Bang, could therefore have some unknown characteristics that may one day bridge the gap to other worlds. And if you want to build a bridge to our videos on a regular basis, you should definitely click on the thumbs up and the subscribe button now. Join our community and stay up to date from now on. We'll see you soon.